on our first episode of Adult Story Time.
Adult Show and Tell.
Adult show and Tell. I decided to go with the Ouija board, man. And the reason I went with the Ouija board is I really like ideas where things will exist in a person's house or in folklore or in the world, and we don't really know where they came from. We don't know the backstory behind it.
Word.
And so I had kind of read an article and I thought it was really cool, so I kind of started doing some research on it. So the name Ouija board, everyone's seen it, it's the letters, the numbers, yes, no.
I'm familiar.
Yes, everyone's familiar, right?
I've played, yeah.
Right. So that idea was minted by Elijah Bond in 1890. Right? So the real thing behind it is that those are actually called talking boards, and they've been around for 1,000 years or so. They're first mentioned in China,
so talking board was the initial name.
Well, yeah, I mean they go by different names, but talking board was originally kind of what it was coined when they started finding manuscripts talking about these things, and it wasn't until really World War I that people started kind of connecting the dots and saying this is basically, for lack of a better word, it's a cheap selling trick to sell it is to say that it's a channel to mediums. All right.
Wait, so maybe you're gonna get into this. I freaking love the Ouija board, so I'm gonna ask a shit ton of questions.
Okay,
so
sure.
Deal with it. So wait, you're saying that it originally was sold as a gimmick?
Right. Well, no. I mean, originally, in China, in 1100 AD is the first mention of a talking board. Okay, right. And it was never mentioned as kind of having demonic overtones or speaking to the dead
Passageway
or anything like that until World War I. And it was one person that actually kind of did the spiritualism side of the Ouija board, and that was a lady named Pearl Curran. And she was the one who, the mythos behind, what the Ouija board is, talking to the dead, that's what we have now.
Huh. Was she a clairvoyant or something? Or just...
that's kind of a coin flip, that's an opinion on the situation,
yeah.
but
you
was
she... psychics? Or
well, yeah, but the idea is, was she using this for a cheap buck, or, was she really doing this? And one of the cooler things about what I've looked up is the scientific method behind them doing research on the Ouija board, because it actually got so popular that in the 50s that the scientific world kind of got involved and was okay, we either need to put this down or we need to say that it's legit.
Right.
But one of the coolest things is the word Ouija. All right, so the Ouija board, right? So Elijah Bond, when he coined the phrase Ouija board...
You say Elijah, I'm immediately Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, Elijah Bond, right? Bond. Elijah Bond.
Elijah Bond.
Yeah. But he coined the phrase Ouija board because he said that himself and another person had used the Ouija board and it came up and named itself Ouija board.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
It's supposed to... This is the coolest part. It's supposed to be...
Hence the jacked up spelling.
An Egyptian word that means good luck. So they were playing with their talking board,
right.
And they said, "What is your name?" And it spelled out Ouija, and it popped up and said, "Good luck."
Good luck. The first Ouija board was very cynical.
Yeah,
good luck, fucker. You're going.
Does it mean that you're going to have good luck, or is it good luck you're screwed?
Yeah,
You've
right.
opened a portal to hell. So
Elijah Bond.
But I find that very interesting because it was very vanilla at the beginning.
Cool.
It was just a talking board. It was we're gonna move, to see what the board says. And it wasn't until World War I that you got Pearl coming out and saying she's channeling the dead. So of course you get something like this, a toy marketed towards children, right? And it was that.
It was marketed towards children.
Oh yeah, it was bought and sold. It's by Hasbro is one of the people on there.
Damn.
We're gonna get sued, but
change it to
Parker. Hasbro had it. Parker Brothers had it.
Oh,
like,
word. Okay.
So,
okay.
I mean, it was definitely marketed towards children.
Oh, okay.
And one of the early one of the early trademarks was, what is the talking board going to tell you? It was like the idea behind it. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. But the spiritualist side of it is when the Catholic Church gets involved. And of course, like the minute that somebody says it has some kind of link to the occult or, you know, anything spiritual. I get excited
personally, but yeah, the Catholic Church probably
the Catholic Church comes in and jumps all over it and says, oh, it's bullshit. And so, of course, exit the Catholic Church, in comes the scientific method, right?
So, back up. Did the Catholic Church, you know, was it actually like they were really trying to get it like taken off of the, like don't sell it to kids?
For sure.
Oh wow, okay.
And I think it was like one of the handful of times that the Catholic Church like kind of held hands with the scientific community, like, okay, so for like the atheists or agnostics or, you know, any of the other heathen religions, you know, we're going to try to pull this off the market by saying it's all hokum and use the scientific method to kind of pull it off there. So, and you know, it was either the 70s or 80s. The Ouija board had that huge following, like in horror films, right? Where it was either like a set piece in every horror movie you saw in the 80s,
right?
Or somebody actually used it to like breach
I was born in 77, and I like immediately knew what it was. Like growing up, it was known, so it probably was the 70s, I would guess. Well, and shoot, as a huge fanatic of horror films, we've seen it time and time again. So if you think about it, it probably was the 70s,
right? So, but you got to think, you know, World War I is when this Pearl Curran comes out and says that this is a way to speak to the dead. And what's funny about that is, like, there's this huge gap between 1100 AD and basically, like, the early 1900s when it's just a toy, like, or it's just written about in stories, right? Well, in China, it definitely was used as a spiritual medium for, like, the occult. Like, the whole idea behind it was necromancy. Like, that's why it was designed. And I found that was funny that they, you know, Hasbro and Parker Brothers is like, let's jump on this necromancy phase.
Turns out it wasn't a toy after all.
But I mean, look at the toys that we had. Like, I had like lawn darts and shit. So I guess summoning the devil in the 1800s was like a normal thing for Hasbro to jump on board with. Right?
That's funny.
So, but Elijah Bond was the dude who like patented the idea and came up with the name, and the name was apparently Egyptian, supposedly, to mean good luck, right? And it's if you look at the way that Ouija is spelled, O-U-I-J, you're like, how does that come up to Ouija and
drunk spirits?
Yeah. So I found.
Wait, does Ouija actually translate? Is that a
supposedly, like, I mean, I'm not
an Egyptian word. I know you're not.
I'm not an ancient linguist,
right?
But that is kind of the mythos behind it, right? So, the way that the scientific community kind of put this together was, I mean, it was in the 70s, so it was kind of 50s, 60s, and 70s was when it kind of went into scrutiny, right? And actually, it was really kind of considered, like, in 2003 they also did basically it came kind of back under the fire, and was published. They talked about it in a book about pseudoscience. Okay,
what would make it just pop up? Like, I guess just.
I mean, we're fucking talking about it randomly out of the blue, and it's 2019. Well, so
everything comes in circles, I guess.
Right.
Bell bottoms are coming back.
Yeah, back around. So basically the claim of the scientific community is it's guided by unconscious muscular exertions, but they have to be big enough for actual movement on the table. So the idea is your mind it has a predetermined direction that it's going to go, right? And so without your knowledge, you're moving the pad.
So you're actually telling. I swear I didn't move it.
Right, exactly.
Dave, who we used to always play with.
Yeah.
Dave, I know you're fucking moving it, Dave.
Right.
He's like, I'm not. So he wasn't lying, technically, because he didn't know he was moving it.
So they basically labeled it a dissociative state. So basically, the scientific community was like, no, this is all full of bullshit. But the best part of the scientific community is in everything that I've researched. There's like pages and pages and pages of shit on the Ouija board. The scientific chunk is like nothing. Well, it's. I mean,
hopefully they didn't spend too much time. I mean, the scientific community.
They come up with some whack shit, and you know that if somebody had come out like definitively and said, hey, Ouija board is full of shit, and here's why. But I was kind of wondering, like, did they do like? There has to be questions that you could put two people in a room to fuck with a Ouija board. They have no prior background in the situation. I want to know about the test that went way off the fucking rails for these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because I mean, I have a feeling like, because I love science, I do. But we've gotten to the point in 2019 where science has kind of gotten to the point where it's like the new religion. And back in the old day with religion, like, if you didn't fucking get along, you got stoned or, fucking killed and excommunicated and the whole thing. And we're kind of at this point where science has got such a tight grip on the world that they can't fucking admit when they're wrong ever either now. It's like the Catholic Church in the 1500s being like, we fucked up. They don't do that. The scientific community has a hard time of fucking coming out and saying that shit too. So I don't hate the idea that it is completely two assholes sitting in a room and they're like, that dude's name is Jeff and he's talking to us from the dead. Like, I don't
feel it.
I don't hate that as an idea or an explanation. I feel like it's been around for that long.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I had no clue that it's that old.
Yeah, it's been around for a very long time, and it's been used for the same fucking thing for that long. What, 900 years?
Right. I'm not going to do the math, but yeah, that's a long time.
So, and you got to figure in that time, it's been called a talking board, it's been called all these different things, and then the Egyptian word for good luck, apparently.
Good luck?
But we have a group of toy makers that markets this to children. It's been denounced by the religious face of, Western society. Scientific communities have had to go out and try to debunk it. And we're at the point now where it's like, you can go to a fucking Goodwill and buy one for $1.50. Like, you've got to have one down here, man.
Dude, I do somewhere.
I mean, it would be the same thing. You've got Monopoly, right?
It's a Stranger Things version of Monopoly. I'm that much of a nerd, my friend.
But I mean, the idea.
I do actually have one somewhere.
But I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's always in somebody's closet. It's always in somebody's basement.
If I had known this is what you were going to talk about, we would have brought it out and actually had our own experiment and, gotten real weird.
But that's what I'm saying. But now, like, I mean, it's kind of pseudoscience because we're kind of, like, going into it with, like, a preconceived notion of how it is. But I find that it's such a divided situation. But the fact that, like, parenting at one point was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna put what could be a communication with the devil in my 7-year-old's hand.
You go, little Johnny. I don't know why all the little kids are either Johnny or Timmy.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, that's pretty warped. If they indeed knew the history of it. Now, truthfully.
True, but I mean, you gotta admit, like, I just told you all that shit, right?
Yeah, right.
But at some point, very early in your life, when dealing with a Ouija board, you knew that, like, the idea, the mythos behind it was...
I was trying to contact Grandma.
Yeah,
like, I get it. Yeah.
Or the devil if I fuck up and dial the wrong number.
Dude, I don't know about your childhood, but no, I was trying to contact Grandma,
okay.
not Satan himself.
I don't know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's the point. That was, like, literally one of the things that the Catholic Church used as a reason for getting rid of it and demonizing the Ouija board. Was like, you don't know the powers that you're messing with. You can open a portal to hell.
Portal to hell. Now, they could have flipped it and said, we can prove this, being that they are the Catholic Church and so close and attached to God. You find the holiest man, or art thou, and have him play with the Ouija board and prove that it's truly contacting an evil spirit, and then game over. No more fucking.
But of course,
contacting grandma with
But there. I mean, dude, there in the research for the stuff that we're doing on here, like you definitely realize that there's a whole lot of really fucked up people on the planet, and so there is definitely the idea that behind that list, that list of people of the crazy, like that it could be a very thin amount of the world population, but at least some of them would be playing with the Ouija board to contact Satan.
100% correct.
It would. They'd be like, "Go get grandma," like fucking crazies out there.
That's true. And you know what? And I don't know if you were about to say something else, but think about the I don't think you said who the Chinese dude or gal that actually created it for the purpose of conjuring or contacting the dead. Imagine them when they got that check from the dude who's turning it into a toy going, I'm sending this to America. The fuck with you? I mean, dude, they would either be, this is amazing, or they're either really fucked up and it could go either way.
Not to take like that weird turn, but like if you remember the beginning of Gremlins.
Yeah, of course.
Like, so you got a weird old dude in the shop. Questionable heritage. He's got all sorts of shit in his. You're not supposed to actually buy anything from his shop,
right?
And he has like a world-ending demon sitting in a fucking birdcage, and it's got all these rules that you can't fuck with, right?
So take one.
So it does conjure up
damn cute. I mean,
right. So, but I mean, it does conjure up that idea of like, ooh, musky, dark, like spiderweb laden building, and then all of a sudden there's a Ouija board in the background. Like, do you buy it?
Like, you pick it up and blow the dust off, like it's fucking Jumanji.
Yeah. Well, we were joking about being able to buy a Ouija board at like Goodwill for like 50 cents or something.
Oh yeah, you totally can.
I feel like I would be more willing to buy a Ouija board as an adult if the price was higher. I'd be like, well, why is the fucking thing $50?
What's wrong with it? Right.
Yeah, like...
Oh, wait. Is this a special Ouija board?
Did it come out of a burning home? Like...
Oh, there's got to be history to it.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm kind of like... I'm weird in that department. Like, it's like, oh, shit. I mean, I'm probably just store it in a closet anyway, but like the idea, like, well, if it's 50 cents, it's just
I'm more prone to buy it if I'm driving on a cross country trip and it's in the back of like a side, little broke down shop, like in the corner underneath like a fucking stack of like
the more dust the better.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like
but it's part of the fun.
It is, yeah.
Is the unknown, the mystery of, I don't know, what if.
Right. So you definitely have, at least in theory, the lady who's the money-grubbing spiritual side of the Ouija board who brings that kind of idea into the forefront, right? But it's weird that Hasbro Parker Brothers is manufacturing what they're calling a talking board.
Talking board, yeah.
That was originally used for necromancy. And they're like, you know what?
We're going to twist this.
We're going to twist it. We're going to take this pentagram, right? And we're going to put reindeer around it. And then
bells on it.
And then it's a fucking Christmas tree, right? Like
it's a snowflake.
Yeah, it's the new Christmas rage.
That's really funny, actually.
I mean, I guess anything to make a buck, but I don't know, like damning...
Kudos for creativity.
Damning thousands of children to immortal, peril for a few bucks.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That seems kind of. I mean,
fairly shallow. But well, did you ever play him?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I don't know that I had any situation where I was like, oh, my life is put on its ear, and now I never touched the number 6. Or anything like
I'm like a hardcore believer of the paranormal and everything.
Of course,
and so going into a Ouija board,
I've met you, so
yeah, fair enough. But I've never had a single experience with a Ouija board other than sheer boredom and aggravation for the fact that nothing's happening. But the problem is, even if something did happen, I know it would be my subconscious or whatever making something happen. Or whatever, you know what I mean? I could never take it serious. So for me, like, I'll let my kid play with that tomorrow, and he's 11 months old.
Yeah.
Because I think I call horseshit.
Well, but
and I believe in contacting spirits and the dead, but not via Ouija board. Let's put that.
But I mean, there's so many of those things out there. Was like, you know, people do that. Like they leave their TV on static and you know record it, and you know you see like all these different ways of like communicating with the dead, and like I feel like if Hasbro had like the fucking death grip on a cell phone to the afterlife, that we would have heard a lot more about like 6-year-old wins the lottery 9 times in a row for fucking with his Ouija board, you know. So, and I know that like from my experience messing with a Ouija board, like it was always me fucking with the other people in the room. Like it was
every time. Absolutely.
Like, and it was always funny. It was like, you know, tell us what's our future holds, and it's like die, like you know,
death.
Yeah, like just because you're like because everybody's already like keyed up, and they're like you're moving it, like no, like I'm totally pushing it, but
I'd play with a cousin and be like, oh, she'd be, you know, she didn't want to really contact the dead, so she thought the Ouija board was a psychic. I was like, it's not really that, that's not how the game works, but I'll roll with it. So she says, what will we have for dinner? And I'm like, fucking ice cream, because I fucking wanted ice cream. I was like, so be it.
I think actually the funnier part of this story is that the original plan for the talking board came out like from these toy manufacturers was that it was the fucking board talking to you. That it didn't even have like a demonic touch or necromancy or any of that stuff. They were like, it's a talking board. See what the board will tell you.
The
like
board,
literally,
cardboard or whatever.
Literally the lowest amount of funding that they could possibly put into a toy. It's a board with a stick on top of it that points at shit.
That points at stuff.
And you'd be like, tell me my future, oh brilliant board.
God, and they make a gazillion dollars off of it, too.
Right, and you know, the best part is after, like...
Pet Rock.
After Pearl Curran, and after the Catholic Church, and after all these groups come out, and they're, like, just besmirch the name Ouija, and, you know, tie it to the devil, and tie it to necromancy, tie it to all these things, and, like, oh, all this stuff comes out that this is where it came from. Fucking Parker Brothers and Hasbro continue to make the shit. Like, they're like, we know that this has a really bad connotation.
And if somebody was to Google the history of...
Yeah, like, I don't get that. It's like Hasbro next year coming out with, like, my own little meth lab or something. And, like, it would have kids, like, pouring stuff in beakers, and then occasionally if you poured too much it'd just blow up the fucking toy.
It's educational.
It's just for fun. See what the meth fumes will tell you.
Which is worse, contacting Satan or learning to cook meth?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess, you know, it really depends on the times. Like, I guess when you're like, you know, 85-90% of the world interaction comes by candlelight. It's still, you know, you coming in and telling me that you're talking to the devil because you have a cardboard toy from Hasbro, then maybe I could fucking listen to you if I haven't read any books. Like,
and they always had to have candles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, what do you have? You have wind, and so of course the ambiance was way better back then.
Yeah. I mean, AC in the early 1900s and late 1800s was an open window.
Right.
So,
which made candles flicker.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, it's the demons telling me. But no, like it's a toy manufacturer's like basic death grip on making money and exploiting children's fear of the afterlife, which was put in there by the Catholic Church and other Western religions. But come on, let's be real, it's Catholic Church.
It is what it is, yeah.
and the idea that they're playing chicken with the masses. Like, we're gonna fucking keep it on the shelves, man.
It may or may not work, so let's roll with it and keep selling.
But I mean, if you look at today's world, like the minute that there is like any kind of nuance that something is a bad choice, bad for the children, bad for the community, bad for society, people yank that shit immediately.
That's true. We are quite a bit more sensitive this day and age.
I mean, not having an argument whether one age is better than another age, but I still find it funny. I would love to know, like, I would love to have been sitting in the boardroom every year that they were like, nope, we're keeping it.
Keeping it.
We're keeping the Ouija board. She stays.
Good luck.
In the immortal words of Elijah Bond, the Ouija never goes.
The Ouija stays forever. That's so good. Oh, shit. That's funny.
But I don't really see any other situation where you have that much scrutiny on one side between the scientific community, the religious community, and then it is a board game that they continue to manufacture. For children.
For kids.
I mean, we have like Cards Against Humanity, we got, all these really messed up card games for adults.
Yeah, right.
But Ouija board was never manufactured to adults.
No, that's true. It's not. It wasn't. It still isn't. Wow. You've taught me a lot about the Ouija board.
I
gotta be honest. I didn't think we could actually talk about the Ouija board for more than maybe 10 minutes. But fuck, you got me, dude. That was fantastic.
I mean, one rabbit hole in
Elijah Bond.
The Elijah Bond and Pearl Curran. I wonder if they were doing it. Like that, they were like, look, we're gonna get them on the shelves, and then I'm gonna have you exit, and then I'm gonna come in and sell it as this demonic gate, and we're gonna make our money that way.
What a team!
That would have been brilliant. Yeah.
Next time on.
Next.
All right, good shit, man.
Okay.
All right, sweet.